Sometimes transformation does not take a lifetime. It takes a moment when you finally decide enough is enough. This is not about changing who you are, it is about remembering who you were before life told you who you could not be. God is calling you into alignment with your original design, the version of you that does not shrink for acceptance, does not settle for comfort, and does not apologize for growing. And over the next 3 days, we are not chasing perfection, we are pursuing purpose. This is your 3 day challenge, not just to change your mindset, but to rewrite your spirit, renew your confidence, and reclaim your peace. Because when your mind shifts, your world follows. God is about to show you what happens when you stop conforming and start transforming. Before transformation can begin, there has to be a release. You cannot pour new oil into an old vessel and expect it not to break. So many of us are asking God for a new mindset while still holding on to the old conversations, the old wounds, the old approval we thought we needed to be whole. The truth is, you can't carry healing and baggage at the same time. There's a version of you that existed only to survive. She was necessary, but she cannot go where you are headed. The first step in this 3 day challenge is to make peace with the fact that not everything you have been holding on to deserves to go with you into your next level. God will often call you to release what's comfortable before He introduces what is possible. That's the tension point where your faith begins to stretch because the mind loves familiarity. The mind craves what it understands, even when it's unhealthy. But transformation does not happen in comfort zones. It happens in obedience. This is the part where you stop trying to control what God is asking you to let go of. The job that drains your spirit but pays your bills. The friendship that keeps you small because growth makes them uncomfortable. The mindset that says you are not enough unless you are busy. These are the weights that slow down your becoming. You can't elevate if you are still anchored, and sometimes the heaviest things we carry are not people or possessions, they are patterns. Patterns of negative thinking, patterns of self doubt, patterns of replaying the past until it becomes our prison. God is saying, I need your mind clear so I can fill it with truth. You have been asking for revelation, but revelation can't reset in clutter. The Spirit of God cannot renew what you refuse to release. This step is not about losing, it's about exchanging. Every time you let go of something that no longer serves your growth, you make space for something divine to take its place. You'll release anxiety, and God fills you with peace. You release insecurity and He gives you identity. You release control and He teaches you trust. That's the divine trade off of transformation. It always starts with surrender. The hardest part about letting go is that it feels like losing control. But in reality, it is gaining alignment. God does not ask you to release because He wants to punish you. He asked you to release because He knows what is coming. You have been praying for clarity, but clutter and clarity can't coexist. You have been asking for breakthrough, but breakthrough can't come through if the door is blocked by what you would not let go of. But this first day of the challenge is about confronting your attachments. Ask yourself, what have I been holding on to that no longer holds purpose in my life? Maybe it's the version of yourself that's settled. Maybe it is the story you have been telling yourself about why you can't start again. Maybe it's the identity that was shaped by someone else's limitations. It's time to set yourself free, and when you start releasing, you will feel the resistance. That's normal because the enemy does not fight what is failing, he fights what is transforming. Every thought that tries to tell you you are not ready, every emotion that tries to make you go back, that's just proof that you are in the process. This discomfort is a sign of deliverance. Don't confuse the ache of transformation with the pain of destruction. What is breaking you is not you, it is the oldest mindset losing its grip. When you finally release what no longer serves you, you will realize how heavy you have been walking. You will feel lighter not because life got easier, but because you stopped caring what was not meant for you. That is when clarity begins to rise. That's when you start to see yourself not through the lens of your past, but through the vision, but through the vision of your purpose. God did not design you to stay stuck. He designed you to evolve. So, before you move forward in this 3-day challenge, take inventory of your heart and your habits. Release with intention, release with faith, release knowing that what is waiting ahead is far greater than what you are leaving behind. Transformation does not truly begin with when your circumstances change. It begins when your connection with the voice of God is restored, because you can't shift your mindset if you are still tuned in the frequency of fear. Every person walking through transformation must learn to discern the difference between God's whispers and their own worry. You see, God does not shout over the noise in your mind, He waits for you to silence it. His voice is not found in chaos, it's found in stillness. The problem is so many of us have gotten comfortable confusing busyness with purpose, noise with direction, and pressure with calling. But God is saying, come back to me. I want to recalibrate your mind to the rhythm of my peace. When you reconnect with the voice of God, you begin to realign with your divine frequency. It's like a radio that has been stuck between stations. You have been catching pieces of truth, bits of clarity, but not the full sound. You have been hearing echoes of who you are instead of the full voice of who you are becoming. The reason your mindset feels cloudy sometimes is not because you are unworthy or incapable, it is because there is interference. That too many opinions, too many comparisons, too many distractions trying to convince you that you need validation before obedience. But the voice of God does not need an audience, it needs your attention. The world will always tell you to manifest, but the Spirit will tell you to listen, because before you can manifest anything real, you have to hear correctly. When God speaks, He does not just give information, He gives instructions. His voice carries identity. It tells you who you are even when you have forgotten. It tells you to stand even when you feel broken. It tells you to believe even when the facts say it's over. That's why reconnecting with His voice is essential, because everything that has your ear eventually has your mind, and everything that has your mind will direct your life. This part of your 3-day change and challenge is about learning how to quiet the world long enough to hear heaven. You have been feeding your mind with everyone's words but God's. You have been scrolling for inspiration when what you really need is revelation. God wants to speak, but you have to create space. That might mean disconnecting for a while. That might mean waking up earlier, sitting in silence, and saying, Lord, speak to me. I am listening, because transformation does not come from imitation, it comes from intimacy. When you start hearing God again, your perspective shifts. The same situation that looked like rejection starts to look like redirection. The delay that frustrated you starts to reveal itself as protection. God's voice gives you context for your chaos. It turns confusion into confirmation. Some of you have been wondering why your spirit feels drained. It's because you are trying to hold divine revelation in an atmosphere full of doubt. Reconnecting with God means protecting your peace like it is holy ground, because it is. His voice is not always loud, but it is always clear. It's that gentle nudge that says you are better than this. It's that quiet conviction that says you know this is not you anymore. It's that unexpected comfort that reminds you I am still with you. The voice of God is not here to condemn, it's here to correct, to comfort, to call you higher. And when you start recognizing that voice, you stop being manipulated by other one. Sometimes the hardest part is not hearing God, it's trusting. When what you heard, because faith will often require you to move without applause, to obey without evidence, to step even when the path is not paved. But when your spirit knows His tone, you stop questioning every instruction. You stop needing external confirmation for internal conviction. That is when your mindset begins to transform, because now your decisions are being made from revelation, not reaction. In this challenge, God wants to reset your inner dialogue. You have been repeating the voice of fear, but now it's time to echo the voice of faith. You have been agreeing with the lies of limitations, but now you are learning to agree with heaven's report. Because every stronghold in your mind begins to fall when you start speaking what God says about you. So, today take a moment to silence the noise. Turn off the voices that keep you doubting yourself. Turn down the distractions that keep you from hearing Him clearly. God has been speaking. You just stopped recognizing the sound. He is not far away, He is waiting within. This is your moment to tune back in, to reconnect, and to remember that His voice still has the power to transform everything about your mindset and your life. Before you can walk in transformation, you have to confront what has been living rent free in your mind. The thoughts that tell you you are not enough, the beliefs that whisper you will never change, the quiet lies that sound like truth because they have been repeated for so long. They all form a mental prison that God is ready to demolish. The detox of your mind begins when you realize that not every thought deserves authority and not every belief deserves agree. The human mind is powerful, but it is also programmable. Whatever you feed it consistently will become its reality. So, if you have been feeding it doubt, fear, and self criticism, don't be surprised when your confidence feels starved. This challenge is your moment to choose a new diet for your thoughts. A detox means separation, it means flushing out the toxins that have been polluting your perspective. For too long, you have been absorbing the opinions of others as if they were prophecy. Somewhere along the way, somebody said you were not qualified, and now that voice has been echoing in your head louder than God's promise. Somewhere along the line, you experienced failure, and instead of seeing it as a lesson, you made it your identity. But you are not your past, you are not your mistakes, you are not your trauma. You are the product of grace and potential that is still unfolding. And if you are going to transform your mindset, you have to detox from the lies that have been shaping how you see yourself. The most dangerous beliefs are the ones that feel normal, the ones that sound like that's just how I am, or people like me don't get opportunities like that. Those beliefs are comfort cages. They keep you safe, but they also keep you small. God never created you to shrink to fit inside a mindset that was built from pain. He created you to expand, to rise, to renew your mind daily. The detox process is not about pretending you are not struggling, it's about identifying the root of the struggle and replacing it with truth. Here is the truth: you are capable of change, you are worthy of peace, you are equipped for purpose. But you can't believe that if your mental space is crowded with contradictions. A spiritual detox requires discipline. It means talking it means taking every thought captive and asking, does this align with who God says I am? If the answer is no, then it does not belong in your mental home. Your mind is sacred territory, and it's time to evict anything that has been trespassing. Sometimes those limiting beliefs come dressed as logic. They sound reasonable. I can't start that business. I don't have the resource. I can't heal. It's been too long, but logic without faith leads to limitation. Faith expands when logic Faith expands what logic can't comprehend. Detox in your mind means allowing your faith to have the final word. You might not see how, but you can still believe that it is possible. You might not feel ready, but you can still declare that you are growing. You might not have evidence, but you can still trust the process. And let's be honest, detoxing hurts when you have been attached to your pain for years. Letting it go feels like losing a piece of yourself. But pain is not your identity, it's just an experience. Transformation requires you to detach from the version of yourself that was built to survive. That version thought small to stay safe. That version played quiet to avoid rejection. But this new season is about renewal, not survival. God wants to reprogram your thoughts to align with destiny, not damage. Detoxing also means replacing. You can't just remove negative thoughts, you have to replace them with divine truth. If the enemy says you are not enough, you replace it with I am fearfully and wonderfully made. If the world says it's too late, you replace it with God makes all things new. If your past says you will always be the same, you declare, I am being transformed by the renewing of my mind. This is not positive thinking, it's spiritual authority. Because every time you declare truth over a lie, you reclaim territory in your mind that the enemy once occupied. You can't detox your mind in an atmosphere of negativity. This means you may have to distance yourself from certain environments, conversations, and even social media feeds that reinforce old beliefs. What you consume determines what you become. Protect your mental environment like it's holy, because it is. Every thought that enters your mind has the power to shape your future, so guard it fiercely. During this part of the challenge, start journaling what thoughts no longer serve your purpose. Write them down, name them, then replace them with affirmations rooted in truth. Speak those affirmations daily until they become your new normal. because transformation begins with repetition. Whatever you repeatedly declare becomes what you eventually believe. This is your mental reset. It's time to purge the lies, release the limits, and make room for renewal. The detox would not be easy, but it will be worth it. Once your mind is free from the beliefs that kept you bound, you will finally see that the biggest transformation God wants to perform is not around you. Transformation is impossible when you are chasing someone else's definition of success. We live in a world that tells you your success is about achievement, numbers, validations, and applause. But God's version of success does not always look glamorous. It looks grounded. It looks like obedience when no one is watching, peace when nothing is perfect, and purpose when the path is not popular. Before your mindset can shift, you have to confront how you have been measuring your worth. Too often, we call exhaustion, grind, loneliness, independence, and comparison motivation. But true transformation begins when you redefine success through the lens of alignment, not approval. There is a subtle trap that happens when you start progressing in life. You begin to confuse activity with purpose. You are doing everything, but you are not becoming anything. You are busy but not fulfilled. You are achieving but not advancing. You have been climbing ladders that lean against walls God never told you to build. The pressure to prove yourself can become so strong that you forgot who you were proving yourself to. Redefining success means stepping off the stage the world built for you and standing on the foundation God designed for you. Because sometimes what looks like failure to the world is actually faithfulness to heaven. You have to be brave enough to say, what if success is not about what I have, but about who I am becoming? When you shift that perspective, everything changes. The car, the house, the followers, the money, they lose their power to define you. Success stops being about what you can accumulate and starts being about what you can cultivate. Cultivate peace, cultivate purpose, cultivate presence. Because the most powerful person in any room is not the one being seen, it's the one who is centered. Redefining success requires unlearning. You have to unlearn the idea that success is always visible, sometimes it is silent. Success might look like walking away from something everyone else applauds because it does not feed your soul. It might look like saying no to an opportunity that compromises your peace. It might look like starting over when everyone thought you had already arrived. God God's kind of success does not inflate your ego. It expands your spirit. It teaches you how to be faithful in small things before you are trusted with great ones. This is where your mindset begins to detox from validation. You can't heal and chase approval at the same time. You can't transform while still needing permission to be different. When you redefine success, you take back your power. You stop measuring your growth by someone else's timeline. You stop comparing your process to someone else's timeline, so to someone else's highlight reel. You realize that being in purpose will always be more powerful than being in position, because position without peace is just pressure disguised as progress. God is not interested in how impressive your life looks. He is interested in how impactful it is. The kingdom definition of success is stewardship. What are you doing with what you have been given? Are you using your gifts or just guarding them? Are you building for eternity or just existing for the moment? Success is not about recognition, it is about revelation. It is about understanding that Every season, whether visible or hidden, is shaping you for divine purpose. Some of you are frustrated because your version of success does not look like anyone else. And that's the point. God did not create you to fit a pattern. He created you to break one. Stop trying to mirror a blueprint that was not made for your assignment. Your journey is sacred, your timing is divine, and your progress is personal. You can't compare your chapter 2 to someone's chapter 20 and expect peace to survive in that pace. Redefine success by asking, what is God calling me to be faithful to right now? Then pour into that even if no one notices, because here is the truth: sometimes success looks like rest, sometimes success looks like healing, sometimes success looks like finally forgiving yourself. The world may never applaud those moments, but heaven celebrates them. Every time you choose obedience over image, you are winning. Every time you choose integrity over influence, you are growing. Every time you choose peace over performance, you are becoming who God designed you to be. So as you step into this day of the challenge, take time to reflect: what does success mean to you really? Is it aligned with your spirit or just your social feed? Redefine it until it looks like peace. Redefine it until it feels like purpose. Redefine it until it no longer requires validation to feel valuable. Because real success is not about standing out, it is about standing firm. And when you finally redefine what success looks like for you, you will discover that you were never behind, you were just being defined. Transformation does not happen because you prayed once, it happens because you learned how to stay consistent when it is hard. Mental resilience is not just strength, it is the ability to keep growing up even when your emotions don't match your motivation. This is where many people fall off the journey of renewal. They want the results of transformation but not the rhythm that sustains it. But if your mind is going to change, your habits must follow. God can give you revelations, but it is your discipline that protects it. Spiritual discipline is the bridge between inspiration and transformation. Resilience does not mean you would not feel weak, it means you know where to turn when you are. It's that decision to pray when anxiety tries to choke your peace. It is choosing worship when worry wants to take the microphone. It is opening your book when your emotions tell you to scroll. Spiritual discipline trains your mind to return to truth instead of trauma. It teaches you that your strength does not come from how much you can carry, but how quickly you can surrender what's too heavy for you. The more disciplined you become spiritually, the stronger your mental foundation grows. You can't build resilience in comfort. Resilience is built in resistance. Every time life pushes against you and you decide not to break, something inside you grows. Every test, every delay, every disappointment, it's all training ground for your next level. God allows pressure not to destroy you but to develop you. The same way muscles grow through tension, your mind grows through challenges. But if you don't have spiritual discipline, pressure becomes pain. With it, pressure becomes power. Building mental resilience starts with consistency, not perfection. You may not feel strong every day, but you can stay steady. Maybe that means setting aside time each morning to pray or journal before you face the world. Maybe it is declaring scripture out loud until your mind believes it. Maybe it is fasting from distractions that drain your focus. The point is not to be flawless, it is to be faithful. Because resilience is not built overnight, it's built over time through repeated obedience. The enemy does not need to destroy you if he can distract you. Distraction is the silent assassin of discipline. That's why resilience is also about focus. You can't be mentally strong while spiritually scattered. You have to learn how to protect your attention as much as your anointing. Stop giving every Stop giving energy to what does not feed your spirit. Every moment spent on negativity weakens your endurance. You need that energy for elevation. Protect it by being intentional with your routines, your relationships, and your rest. Mental resilience is not the absence of struggle, it is the mastery of response. It is understanding that some storms will come, but your peace does not have to leave. When your spiritual life is disciplined, your emotions no longer have permissions to dictate your destiny. You can feel fear without surrendering to it. You can face uncertainty without losing identity. That is the power of a renewed mind, stability in seasons that would have once broken you. Discipline also creates alignment. It aligns your thoughts with God's truth and your actions with His will. You stop reacting impulsively and start responding intentionally. You begin to see setbacks not as signs of failure but as opportunities to fortify your faith. Every time you discipline your thoughts, you are telling your spirit, we are no longer ruled by feelings, we are led by faith. That's when transformation becomes visible because resilience makes renewal sustainable. The beautiful thing about spiritual discipline is that it is not about punishment, it's about preparation. God is preparing your mind to carry what your prayer life has been asking for. The blessing you are praying for requires a stronger version of you, a version that does not give up. When things don't go your way, a version that knows how to stand still and trust that even in silence, God is working. That kind of mindset is not built through ease, it's built through endurance. So, if you are in a season where you feel stressed, where everything in you wants to give up, that's not a sign of failure. It's proof of formation. You are being trained in the art of resilience. Your spirit is learning how to remain rooted while your circumstances shift. Every day you choose discipline, you are strengthening the walls of your mind against the lies of fear and the weight of pressure. You are becoming unshakable not because life stopped being hard, but because your foundation became holy. Mental resilience through spiritual discipline is the quiet revolution of transformation. It's not loud, it's not flashy, but it's powerful. It's what keep you it is what keeps you grounded when emotions fluctuate. It is what keeps you believing when the evidence is missing, and it's what still sustain you long after the challenge is over. Because once your spirit learns to discipline, your mind will follow. And that is when transformation becomes your lifestyle, not just your moment. Transformation is not complete until you start walking like the person you have become. You can't pray for a new mindset and then move like the old you. There comes a moment in every season of growth when you must stop rehearsing your past and start representing your promise. This is where boldness comes in, not arrogance but divine confidence. Because when you have spent so long surviving, stepping into your new identity can feel uncomfortable. You are used to shrinking, apologizing, over explaining, but God did not call you to blend in. He called you to break out. Walking boldly in your new identity means choosing to believe that what heaven says about you, even when your history tries to argue otherwise. You have to understand transformation is not just about what changes in your life, but what changes in your language, your posture, and your expectations. You can't keep speaking defeat and expect to walk in destiny. The old version of you was reactive, defensive, easily discouraged. But the new you is this renewed, redefined, restructured version moves with intention. She knows she is chosen even when she feels challenged. She knows she has favored even when she is still fighting. She knows her worth even when the world does not recognize it. Walking boldly means no longer negotiating your value with environments that don't honor it. The enemy's biggest threat is not your past, it's your awareness. Because once you truly know who you are, you become unstoppable. He does not mind you going to church, he minds you realizing you are the church. He does not mind you praying for purpose, he reminds you walking in it. That's why after transformation, the battle intensifies. Your confidence will be tested, your faith will be questioned, but boldness does not mean you would not feel fear. It means you refuse to let fear lead. Courage is not the absence of doubt, it is the decision to move anyway. Walking boldly requires a mindset of agreement. You must agree with what God says about you more than what fear says about your circumstances. Every day, your mind will give reasons to stay small. You are not ready. You don't deserve it. What if you fail? But boldness silences those lies with truth. God called me. God equipped me. God's grace will carry me. The moment you start walking in that identity, the atmosphere around you begins to shift. Opportunities recognize confidence, purpose responds to boldness. Heaven moves through faith that refuses to apologize. This part of your challenge is where you stop waiting for validation. You don't need another confirmation when you already have a calling. The same God who began the good work in you will complete it. But he does not but he can't complete what you would not commit to. You have to commit to showing up as the new you even when it feels foreign. It's okay to feel unqualified. That's how grace works. God qualifies those who are willing. So walk like you belong in the room even if you are still learning the language. Walk like the promise is already yours because faith sees completion before it's visible. Boldness does not mean perfection, it means permissions. You are giving yourself permission to grow, to evolve, to expand. For too long, you have been waiting for someone to tell you you are enough. But heaven already did. Every scar you carry, every lesson you have learned, every tear you have cried, it all prepared you for this identity. You have been redefined in private so you can stand in public. Don't let imposter syndrome convince you that you don't belong in the space God sent you to occupy. If He placed you there, you are equipped to thrive there. Walking in your new identity will cost you comfort. It will require you to separate from familiar patterns and familiar people because some will remember the version of you that played small and they will expect her to come back. But she has gone, she served her purpose. Now it's time to live as the woman who survived, healed, and transformed. You don't owe anyone the old you for the sake of their comfort. You owe God your obedience for the sake of your calling. So fix your crown, adjust your focus, and take the step. Walk boldly in forgiveness. Walk boldly in vision. Walk boldly in grace because your identity is not built on opinion. It's anchored in eternity. You are not who you were. You are who you are becoming. And world needs the version of you that is confident enough to move, speak and live like transformation actually happened. This is your season to walk in power, not to prove anything but to demonstrate everything God has placed inside you. The old you was surviving, the new you is soaring. Transformation is not meant to be a moment. It's mean it's meant to become a lifestyle. These 3 days were just the spark, but now comes the part that separates the temporary change from a lasting one. Anyone can feel inspired for a few days, but true transformation is sustained by intention. God did not call you to have a breakthrough that fades when the emotion passes. He called you to live renewed, to carry peace like it is your posture, and to guard your mindset like it's sacred ground because transformation does not end when the challenge does. It's just beginning. You see, the enemy loves to wait until the fire dies down. He is patient. He waits until the noise of motivation fades, until the worship music stops playing, until the routine feels ordinary again. That's when he whispers, see, nothing really changed. But that is when you remind yourself that your transformation was not based on a feeling, it was founded on faith. Feelings fluctuate, but faith is a decision. You don't have to feel transformed to walk in transformation. You just have to keep choosing it daily, deliberately, intentionally. Sustaining your transformation means protecting your progress. The same way you protect a wound while it heals, you must protect your mindset while it renews. You can't go back to the environments that fed your insecurity and expect your confidence to survive. You can't return to the conversations that made you doubt yourself and expect clarity to remain. Growth requires boundaries. Every time you say no to what weakens your spirit, you are saying yes to your new self. This is not restriction, it's refinement. God is not trying to limit your life, He is trying to lengthen your transformation. You have to create systems that support your new season. Systems of prayer, reflection, worship, and stillness. The same discipline that helped you build your new mindset will be the discipline that sustains it. Write down what you have learned during these 3 days. Document your breakthroughs. Keep a journal of how your thoughts are changing because the mind forgets what the spirit remembers. Every time you feel yourself slipping back into old patterns, revisit what God spoke to you here. Transformation is sustained through remembrance, remembering who you are, what you have overcome, and who brought you through it. Don't mistake consistency for complacency. Just because things begin to feel steady does not mean the fire has gone out. Growth will always feel less dramatic over time, but that is how it matures. When you were consistent long enough, peace replaces passion. You stop chasing emotional highs because you found spiritual depth. You are no longer addicted to the rush of change. You are anchored in the rhythm of renewal. And that is when you know it's real. Sustaining transformation also means staying connected to community. You cannot do this alone. Isolation is where doubt grows. Find people who speak life into your process, who remind you of your purpose when you forget it. Surround yourself with voices that push you toward wholeness, not back into habits. The right community keeps you accountable to your new mindset. They would not let you shrink when you are called to stand. They will challenge you to stay aligned when life tries to pull you back. Because sustaining transformation is not just about inner strength, it's about divine support. Understand this, the enemy would not fight you for what you lost. He will fight you for what you learned. He will try to distract you so you forget the revelation God gave you during this challenge. But this time you are prepared. You know the signs. You have learned how to pause before reacting, how to pray before panicking, how to discern before deciding. You have built tools within you that can't be easily shaken. Sustaining transformation means using those tools daily even when the process feels quiet. There will be moments when you slip, when your old mindset tries to creep back in. Don't condemn yourself, correct yourself. Transformation is not about perfection, it's about persistence. Every time you realign, you reinforce the new pattern. Every time you choose peace over panic, faith over fear, purpose over pressure, you are proving that the change is not temporary, it's rooted, it's real. So, as you step out of this 3 day challenge, remind yourself this is not the end, it is the launch. The version of you that began this journey no longer exists. You have shed layers, you have learned new rhythms, you have remembered who you are. Now it's time to live like it every day, in every decision, through every season. Sustaining transformation means letting your mindset mature into a lifestyle of faith, balance, and boldness. Because when transformation becomes who you are, not just what you do, there is no limit to what God can build through you. You have been awakened, renewed, and equipped. Now your assignment is simple: stay consistent, stay connected, and stay transformed.